Hey folks, this is the continuation of my little video chapters on restoring the Singer 1591. I wanted to show you guys the tension assembly. Now this is something that, let's say you go and buy a machine, someone says, hey, here's this antique sewing machine, it sews great, it's been tuned up, and you need to ask them what they did to tune it up. Because some people will take a machine, they'll dust it off, if you're lucky, and then they will squirt oil in it, and because they were so well made, they start to hum, and you can see them, and the needle bars moving, and it looks fine. But what you don't always see is the fact that there are many things on this machine that, again, I can't emphasize enough, they were designed for service. That doesn't mean you as the sewer have to constantly mess with the machine at all. But like any true machine, they were designed, thankfully, to be disassembled, serviced on occasion. And this machine is an example of this. This is the tension assembly, which contains discs, and as the machine is threaded, the thread goes through the discs and you adjust the tension. This is any of you who sew know this, that thread tension is essential, because a sewing machine, not only does it move through fabric with the needle, it has tension on the thread both on the top and the bottom. And it's without that feature, a sewing machine doesn't work. So I just wanted to show you guys the steps that I'm using. You'll see other videos. Some people have made some wonderful videos on how to do this, but I wanted to kind of show you this so you're looking like, hey, how does this come apart? It stops. And we'll see in a minute why it stops. So I'm going to push in. This is spring-loaded, so be careful. Anytime you push in on a spring, hold it so it doesn't go flying. And I'm going to unscrew this outer set screw, if you will. Looks like that. Now, as I take this apart, one of the things I always do, and you guys should do this too, is put things in sort of a row in the order you take them off, and that way, or you can also take photographs. I've done this many times, but if you're new to it, take photos of the order so you remember, because these parts were designed to come apart and be put back together. This is not hacking. I mean, this is literally the way it was designed, but you have to put them in a certain order or this machine won't function. So I'm next going to take the number dial off, okay? And I'll show you guys these things lined up here in a little bit. The next thing I'm going to take off is a stop washer. Now this stop washer is, it looks like a little ring, and it has a little hook on top, and it faces toward you, and that's how it's going to be going onto the machine. Did I just lose my camera angle here? Sorry. It comes off this way, and it needs to go back. When we put it back on, we're going to put it on with the little finger pointing toward us. The next thing that comes off is the actual spring that that these other parts were pushing against. And of course, as you will see a horizontal slit here, and you want the spring to go in, and think of it as a teacup. You'll see this, as a, you always want it to go in with the outermost edge of this spring with the flat side up, in this case. So I'm going to take this off. Don't start cleaning anything yet, because you want to get everything off in the right order. I just find that's easier to keep from getting confused. This is a little ring that also has, make sure I'm not getting too close here. It has this little bar across the opening, and it has a plus and minus, and it goes on in a certain way, and that helps you know which way you're tightening and loosening tension. And then next, these are probably one of the most important parts of this. These are the tension discs. Tension discs look like little coins, but they're basically two steel discs. They are nickel plated, and this is what your thread passes through. So if this has not been looked at on a vintage antique sewing machine, will it sew? Very likely it will, and the thread will go through it. However, you need to inspect it at the minimum, because when I did, if you look closely, you will see that these discs don't look too bad for a machine. I believe this is a 1940s. I'll double check the serial number. But you're going to see dirt, you're going to see a little bit of old dust, and I also see a few nick areas here where I'm looking at some very light corrosion. Now, this can be remedied. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take alcohol to clean it. Then I'm going to take metal polish, and I'm going to remove, metal polish will remove a lot of stuff on metal, even some light corrosion. And anything that's left, I'm going to take emery paper, or it's actually a very fine grit, wet, dry sandpaper. I think it's 800 grit or something like that. Because I don't want to scuff these, but I do want to take a very light grit to remove that corrosion, okay? And once I've done that, then I know I'm good. And then I'll probably put one little tiny drop of sewing machine oil, and I'll rub it on both sides of the disc. You don't oil this. This is not an oiling point for your machine. You put oil down here, you're just going to have a big gloopy mess. But then I'm going to take that oil and buff it. I just want to seal the metal with the oil. I'm not really lubricating this as a moving part. So those go down here. And then you have this piece, which is, it goes in. This is where your thread is going to go right into this little valley here, and I show that when I thread the machine. And it goes in with this here at about 12 o'clock. So if you push it on, there's a little catch piece on the back. Can't really tell what's showing up on camera here. There's a little catch piece on here on the back. So if you push it in and it, just wiggle it around, and you'll feel it sort of pop into place. Don't be afraid to do it. If you forget, you'll figure it out. It's not that difficult. And then back here is your check spring. This is the other really essential part, because thread comes behind this spring, and the spring pulls on the thread. It's part of the tensioning of the machine. All sewing machines have one of some sort. Now this spring right now, it looks corroded, but do I know if it's corroded? I don't know. I will take my let's see. I will take my Q-tip here, and there's some old oil and dust on it, but I wanna clean it. Now, we can take this whole spring out of here, and I probably will, but I wanted just to check the spring out, make sure when I push on it, it springs back. It seems really strong. This is very possibly the original spring. The springs were even made well, but I want to check it for corrosion. The spring gets rubbed on a lot when the sewing machine is in use, and if it were nickel plated, I don't know that they were, but if they were, they could literally, that could wear off. But if you look here, this check spring is sitting right here, right, and it's nestled inside the sort of the housing of the assembly. This entire piece can be taken out. The primary thing you want to remember, this piece doesn't move. You want to check it for corrosion. I don't see any. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to actually clean out any lint or dust that's in here. And then I'm going to be taking the whole side plate apart. Excuse me. I'm going to be taking the whole side plate off in order to clean it with metal polish as well. So I'll check back in with you guys in a moment, and when I do, I'll show you the parts as they've been cleaned, and then we'll put this thing back together.